Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, securities analyst, and advisor, Morty Davis is a Wall Street legend. In addition, Mr. Davis is an outstanding economist and highly articulate, incisive, and very entertaining political analyst and strategist. He's Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical economic and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the news making the headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Hello again. It's Wednesday, 6:30, and I'm back enjoying your company. I hope you're enjoying my company on this podcast. Together we should benefit, ideally. Both get a lot out of it. So you're my beloved, most beloved, precious partners and participants in making this program to the extent it's beneficial for your knowledge and entertaining. Your participation, your cohorts is phenomenal. Every week I'm so impressed with the comments and the input that you give me that allow me to broaden my knowledge and my understanding about the views I have that are sometimes so fixed in my mind and as being correct. And you make me think about revising my thinking process and my attitudes to many things that I historically, traditionally have felt were absolutely, I was positive about. So I can't thank you enough. I love you more than any group of people in the world. And I wish you and all your loved ones everything wonderful every single day of your life. So God bless you, and great being back with you again, as we do every Wednesday evening, 6:30. So without further ado, let's get on with the podcast, which by its nature, since we discuss all of the major events, occurrences that make the news of the week, which sadly is a way of commentary of human behavior and our society's behavior, focuses on all of the terrible things that happen during the week, all the breaking news that intrudes on your listening habits, your TV network programs, the news, the soap operas, the science fiction, everything, so many things that are useful and helpful and enjoyable, learning, part of our learning process, of our growth. So, as I say, by its nature, if you don't agree, I'd like to hear about it, but I think it's an absolute truth that by virtue of the intrusions in our regular listening habits or reading habits, the New York Times, the magazines, all of the information that comes through us to the multiple media outlets that we're exposed to and listened to. is, by its nature, I find, and I'm sure if you're anything in the same way, I like to say normal, but if you're, sensitive to events in the world, happenings, is inevitably going to depress you by virtue of what is considered the weekly events that are so dramatic and so important that they have the priority of introducing and interrupting any program that you might be, or any other media outlet that you're attuned to. So by virtue of that, by that I mean, what's the news? Mass shootings of little children at the kindergarten or first grade, or their teachers being slaughtered while they're attending classes at school, or meetings at churches, or synagogues, or gatherings for fun, where some lunatic comes along with a mass killing instrument like guns and, the ones that have the capacity to kill multiple, mass slaughters.
Assault weapons.
Yeah, assault weapons. So these weekly assault in this country, in the United States, they occurred at the major ones occur like once a week, but the less major ones occur more than one every single day. By less major, I mean ones where there's only 3 or 4 people shot at or killed or wounded. The major ones are the mass slaughter at innocent civilians, innocent children, volunteer workers. I mean, unprovoked killings that is so depressing when they describe who was killed, the mothers and fathers of children, even pregnant women that are due to give birth, and the various accidents that occur, buses that crash with students on them, or basketball teams or baseball teams where busloads of people are killed. All of the ongoing tragedies, floods and fires and all disasters. So I have to start off by apologizing for bringing you depressing news that this podcast, by virtue of what it does, discuss the week's major news, which is delivered to us by the heads of the media that decide the ones that are going to get our attention, because they do it by the fact that they think it's going to draw an audience and keep you interested. So I apologize, and that's the explanation for my having a copy of my book on your screen, if you have it in front of you, called Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back. On the lower part of the cover, it says how to be happy no matter what. And I decided to write that book because when I was young, I was suffering from always being depressed by life, by the disappointments, by the difficulties, by hearing of the tragedies, the wars, and in the Second World War that I lived through, all of the young people who were drafted at 17, men and women, that came back crippled and maimed and came back in body bags. And throughout the world, we were losing people and such vicious, violent, evil people like the German leadership, Adolf Hitler, and the Japanese that attacked us surprisingly while they were in Washington negotiating peace with the United States, and had a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor and the beginning of the Japanese segment of the Second World War, where President Roosevelt said in his speech following the attack by Japan, he described it as the day of infamy that would never be forgotten. So because I was always depressed by the disappointments, I was born during the Great Depression, and there was so much unemployment and poverty, people starving without food and without the ability to pay for food, and farmers who were getting wiped out because people didn't have enough income to pay for what they produced. It was just terribly depressing between the living through that major depression where there was 25% unemployment and the suffering that the world wars, the First World War, the Second World War, was bringing us every single day, as well as, watching my father struggling to make a living, to keep a job, because there was so much unemployment. In his case, because he was Orthodox Jew, he wouldn't work on Saturday. In those days, if you didn't work on Saturday, you couldn't even get a job. So he had to start his own business being a push cart that sold various items on the street level, pushing his push cart and selling fruits and vegetables and toys and different products that people had a need for, or a desire to acquire, and they'd stop on your block and announce that they were here, or ring a bell, and that was one way of Amazon-type shopping. You got immediate delivery. So by virtue of my being depressed and not getting out of the mood, and school was depressing, the teachers used to hit us with belts, and it was common practice in those days till they changed the law, and you weren't allowed to hit little kids 5 and 6 and 7. I spent a lot of my early years getting very badly hurt by teachers or rabbis that were suffering from the times and took out their frustrations on the kids, and it was horrible. So it was easy to be depressed. So as a result of that, I was always down, until one day I ran across a book by a famous Catholic priest, a bishop, Bishop Sheehan, who wrote a book that I came across called The Power of Positive Thinking. And his lecture was, if you think positively, even about negative, the worst things, it lifts your spirits and brings positive outcomes and positive feeling about life and a sense of happiness and contentment that I never had before that. And another book that I came across in like theme by Dale Carnegie, one of the most popular nonfiction writers, called Stop Worrying and Start Living. He wrote an earlier book that was a massive bestseller throughout the world, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was a book on how interaction be members of your family, between neighbors, between fellow citizens, between human beings throughout the world. And it was so brilliant. It was one of the best-selling books of all times. So I came across his second book, which was Stop Worrying and Start Living, and that together with Bishop Sheehan's book, The Power of Positive Thinking, changed my attitude in life forever after, and motivated me to do the same thing, write everything I could discover on lifting people's mood, on their expectations, on their response to all of the negative occurrences, the tragedies, and achieve a happiness, or in my case, I like to think of it as a contentment in life. And so to help my own family, my own kids, my friends, and the world in general, I decided to gather all those kind of books and all that kind of information from the beginning of mankind's existence, from biblical sources, from preachers and priests and rabbis and imams and philosophers, all the way back to the Greek philosophers, Socrates and Plato, and right up through the present day people that worked on it, psychologists, Freud, and all the wisdom that addressed this issue. And I spent the next 12 years, because it so successfully impacted my life and my operation, my ability to operate constructively and not always be depressed. I spent the next 12 years gathering all that information from every source and every language available. So this book is a product of that. It's the best book on happiness I ever came across, including all of the great books that I reviewed and included in this book. Incidentally, it's interesting to note that the most popular course Harvard ever had is a course given, it's not part of the regular curriculum, but it's a course on happiness that always has such a sign up that it can't accommodate all the students that want to attend. It's a voluntary course, an optional course, and there's always a lineup waiting to get access to that teacher given by an Israeli teacher, and it's about a happiness or contentment. I always reluctant to use the word happiness. I mean happiness in the sense of contentment and living a fulfilling, rewarding life, uplifting life. So I made a commitment to produce that same kind of information for all my loved ones and all my neighbors and all my friends and all my fellow citizens and for people throughout the world. And over the years, I've gotten enormous, wonderful feedback of how much people have been helped by it, how much they benefited from this book. It's been so rewarding for me. But finally, after 12 years of gathering information, I was still gathering more information. And my daughter, who's the author herself of many books, came across what I had finished for 12 years and said, "Daddy, I read your book, and it's fabulous. Why don't you get it published?" And I said, "Rookie, I'm still gathering information and adding to it." She said, "It's phenomenal. Get it out. As it is, it's phenomenal. There's nothing like it out there." But since I was still reluctant to stop doing research and adding to the knowledge that I was gathering, she joined me for the next 2 years and pushed me to finish it. And after 14 years, 12 years on my own, 2 years with her cooperation, I made her, as a result, on the cover, co-author, and she's brilliant and helped terrifically make it a better book. So I would urge you, it's one of the needs, obviously, that people have, because that course at Harvard, they've never had a course like that. It's not one that came about because the administration decided to do it, but this teacher set it up as a voluntary course, and registration was overwhelming. Every year, he got many more students of Harvard to try to register for the course, but he couldn't accommodate all of them. So, likewise, this book, if you get a hold of it, if you get a chance, run out and buy it. It'll be very beneficial to you. I say that based on the feedback I've gotten from tens of hundreds of people that either purchased the book or received it as gifts, and from people that gave it as gift who were so complimentary in that most of the gifts, some of these people, CEOs of major corporations, send out thousands of gifts every year around Christmas times or other significant gifting of events, opportunities, started to give this book, and they said they never had such a response, because most of the time they're lucky if they get a thank you right after they received the gift. He receives the book, receives the gift, rather. And in this case, months later, during a year, they're getting comments how appreciative they are of that gift, that it's the best gift they've ever gotten in terms of its usefulness and its impact on their, positive impact on their lives. So I want you to run out and get this book. I'm so sure you'll benefit. Likewise, based on all the feedback I've gotten, that I have this proposition, the best, I don't know another one like it. You know, the best ones I hear of are when you buy some drug or supplemental drug or treatment that says, if you don't find it does everything we tell you that it's going to do for you, send back the bottle and the purchase slip, and we'll send you back your purchase price, and you can even keep the supplement you purchased or the drug you purchased, which is an attractive invitation to purchase something. But I give you a much better one. If you find that it doesn't do everything that I promise in terms of the benefit to you and to your immediate family and to anybody you care about, all your loved ones, I will not only return the purchase price that you paid, or the one who, even the purchase price that the one who gifted it to you, if you get the purchase price, I will return not only the purchase price, but double the purchase price. So you right away should be happy because you're making a profitable contribution. And even though I send you double your money back, you can keep the book. So I don't know anything, any proposition that could be more enticing and more of a guarantee. So as a result, I have it up in front of me for your observation and to induce you, to urge you to run out immediately. Not immediately. I don't want you to leave the podcast, but as soon as the podcast is over, and get a copy of Don't Delay, because when we delay, we often never move on the project. So run out, get it. It'll change your life dramatically for the better. I promise you it's the best investment you will ever make. With that, let's get on with the
Thank you, Morty.
podcast of the way.
Thank you, Morty. Good to be here. So
this is, once again, I'm privileged, and you are too. And it's a pleasure to have Leonard Carey back with me. He's a genius in every aspect of knowledge. He's graduated with distinction at every school he's gone to. He's gone to the major, the best university at undergraduate to earn a degree in electrical engineering, and then he went into Harvard Business School, the best business school in the world, where I likewise gathered from, and he likewise graduated as I did with distinction. And then finally, from the best university in the world, that turns out more billionaires, because it's the leader of developing, it's in Silicon Valley, of developing entrepreneurs. Even while they're at school, they create companies that are worth not millions, but billions. Google was developed by two young Jewish Russian students while they were at Stanford University. So he graduated with honors and distinction and awards from that university as well. So, Leonard, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Morty.
Once more, I impose on him regularly, try to get him back. And his firm that he works for, the largest consulting firm in the world. What's the name of the firm again?
I used to work at McKinsey and Company.
McKinsey, the most famous consulting. When they send Leonard to a company to advise them, to assist them, they charge the companies, the major companies, thousands of dollars an hour. And we have the good fortune to have his involvement in this as often as I can induce him and twist his arm to join us. So, Leonard, why don't we launch?
Thank you, Morty. So last few weeks we've been focusing a lot on foreign policy and events outside the U.S. So not that those events have gone away or been concluded or resolved by any means, but I thought we can talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on domestically, and with so much focus on foreign policy and what the U.S. should do outside of its borders. Let's talk a little about what's going on internally within the country and some of the national priorities and things that we're
Please do.
these days. So we saw over the weekend, you mentioned, mass shootings and other things that happened. There was a shooting, fortunately not a mass shooting, at the White House press dinner, the annual dinner for the White House.
Miraculously, no one was killed, but it shows you what the available of guns, the easy access of guns in this country potentially provides
Right.
every single day of the...
The shooter had a rifle, a pistol, and a knife, I think. 3 things.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't... I mean, I think it makes the point you often make about why, of all the guns out there, the assault weapons are the worst and the most deadly by far, because they make killing so easy. In this case...
Multiple killings. So.
Right. In this case, I think, fortunately, we didn't see any... One agent got shot at, but had a bulletproof vest on, so wasn't armed. But had the gunman had an assault weapon, the outcome probably would have been way worse.
Yeah.
When you have a gun, a single, non-automatic weapon, a pistol, a rifle, whatever it is, you can't, you can hurt people, but you can't hurt hundreds of people because it only shoots one bullet at a time.
And that was despite the fact that anybody got into that event went through a test.
Metal detectors.
With a detector, of guns or anything he might have.
Yeah.
So he never really got into the main area.
Just charged through.
What?
Charged through. He sprinted past the security and then was taken
he never
down,
got
but
into
never
the
got
main...
into the ballroom, right?
Yeah.
So, we saw, assassination attempts.
This was at least the 3rd attempt on the president of the United States.
So we saw two prior on Trump. We saw Charlie Kirk killed. We saw Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, killed. What's this tell us about, our gun culture and political violence and, the limits of any gun control policy? I mean, it's one thing to ban assault weapons, but how do you prevent something like this?
It's an interpretation of the Constitution, which the forefathers put in their final document that here's the way it states it: a well-armed militia
Mm-hmm.
entitles every man. In those days, women weren't entitled to anything. We're doing research now of what the exact language of the Constitution says about the availability.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yeah, which is interesting on many levels. First of all, in those days, a gun could shoot one bullet and had to be reloaded right after, had no ability to do multiple killings. And even so, Abraham Lincoln was killed by a gun. There were many people killed by guns. And also it says specifically, which is generally thought of like in the Bible or in any important document, any extra words are supposed to have meaning, otherwise you don't put them in. You don't make it longer, just have more. And it says a well-regulated militia. So it doesn't say every man, woman, and child, even a 2-year-old is entitled to have a gun. But it has evolved through the NRA and through the NRA is the National Rifle Association that represents not only through their lobbying, but through the enormous sums of money they give congressmen and senators and presidents to be elected, fortune and income, and also tell anyone who supports any kind of gun control, no matter how valid, required, or beneficial, to vote for gun control. So they've achieved an enormous power, because if you vote for it, they're going to come after you. They're going to have a big fund availability for your opponent.
So how do you? One solution is attack the guns owner. The availability and ownership. Until that happens, how do you prevent something like this in terms of, it was in a hotel. You can't, how do you restrict people from renting hotel rooms, or does every hotel need to have metal detectors before you can even get into the hotel? Is that where
they try to have Secret Service, and they have a lot of police surround the event and so forth. But there's no substitute. In this country, in response to that item in the Constitution and the effective activity of the NRA, the National Rifle Association, we have no way of protecting against it, because it's evolved to the point where you can carry a gun even without, in some states, even without register. They call it carry, the right to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And we have more guns, miraculously, than people in the United States. We have 320 million people, which includes every infant and every child of 1, 2, 3. So we have more guns. It shows you our neurosis, our madness.
More guns and pacifiers than teething rings for every toddler. So what do you think about
way more than college degrees?
Right after the shooting, President Trump came out and many Republicans came out saying this is a reason and an example of why we need to have the new giant Trump ballroom built, because if it were available to house an event like this, the security would be available, and something like this wouldn't have happened. Do you think that that's a valid argument to have and to build that huge ballroom?
That's one thing I would say. If you built that beautiful ballroom, and as it's designed now and seems like a work of art, you will have, even if you have a terrible event, the dancing afterwards and the orchestra would be a great lift for the people that suffered the tragedy and helped come. But it certainly would be better than a hotel where people are registered and they didn't even go through, these people at the hotel, where this shooter was registered, and he just came down. He didn't go through the machine that
the magnetometer is the metal detector.
The detector,
the
gun detector. So it would be better when we have now, where anybody could come, as they did with Kirk, and as they did in the prior shooting 3 times with Trump. It's a miracle. He was shot and hit 3 times next to his ear.
Mm-hmm.
If it was an inch to the right, those 3 bullets, he would have been dead right there.
You know, the ballroom's been hung up, as you know, because in court, Trump,
because he didn't get congressional,
demolished the East Wing, but then it got stopped. So now there's a giant construction hole there. And yes, the law seems to say that congressional approval is required for something like that. And so, do you think that that's a valid requirement, or do you think the president should have the discretion to build something like that, particularly if he says it's paid for with private money? Although what I hear now is that some of the money, some people are proposing a portion of the money to build the ballroom is actually taxpayer money, as it may relate to security features and things like that. So an interesting twist to the whole argument that this is a purely privately donated project, when in fact it might not be. But what do you think about people who say they should have congressional approval even if it is primarily funded privately?
I think that's what it says in the Constitution, that it should get approval. It's not a thing that Congress would be likely to reject.
Well, I think they will.
Why?
Just because.
Oh, because politically.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the world we live.
Yeah.
Trump says yes, Democrats say no.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is.
That's right. Or the other way around.
Yes. So it's unfortunate, but I don't know how this one resolves, because it's halfway done. It's not halfway, but it started, right? It's like they demolished whatever was there, and now there's like a big hole in the White House.
One thing I like about Trump, even though I disagree with the behavior sometimes, is how decisive he is. He gets things done. For example, every platform by each party, the Democratic or Republican, every platform when they ran a president at their conventions and subsequent thereto, the platform said that Israel capital should be in Jerusalem. And that was voted on consistently and approved consistently. And then Jewish leaders came and said, well, what about it? It was approved. And every time they came and asserted that position, they said, yeah, we did agree to that, but now is not the right time. And Trump came along and decisively did it. He didn't say it's not the right time. He did it. Nothing terrible, nothing bad happened as a result of that move. So they moved it from, and the Israelis have a right to determine their own capital, to move it from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And
also the embassy, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying I like that he gets things done. And I don't like that you have to go to Congress every time to get something done that should be obviously, unless there's some reasonable objection, I don't think it should be necessary to have a major
but if
majority
it is, then that's what it is.
It is, yeah.
So we have to either abide by it or change the Constitution, which is possible if we don't agree with things. But
it's too hard to change the Constitution.
So, but then you have to abide by it. That's how the country works, But they say
I like his style, getting done. Going to war against Iran now. Well, Congress and some of the people, many of us are fed up with going to war. And he did it. And rightfully, because it's been many years that they've abused our country, America, without paying any price. So there's times when I think it's proper to do that. As a matter of fact, they did change the laws with respect to mass arms slaughter equipment during the Great Depression, when the mafia was using
machine guns. Yeah.
And that's no longer permitted. But what they have now, in those days, they didn't have these mass rifles that act like machine guns.
Yep.
That can shoot so many bullets right after one another. Don't have to.
I mean, one thing no one could ever deny, that when President Trump says on the campaign trail or elsewhere he's going to do something, he does it. Whether you agree with it or not, but no one should ever be surprised when he, I'm going to have huge tariffs. People thought, no, that he'll never do that. Doesn't make sense. When he says he's going to do it, he does it. I'm going to appoint Supreme Court justices to overturn Roe v. Wade. He did. I mean, so don't think that, he's just saying stuff. He doesn't say stuff. He does it.
He does it despite the Constitution clearly states that he has to do something else. He has to get permission.
For what?
To enter war?
No, he's allowed. I mean, under the...
for a short period of time.
Yeah, he's allowed 60 days before a war powers vote.
Right.
So
there's something there.
Right. So he's acting within the Constitution. He didn't declare war. He's allowed to send troops. He's acting within his presidential powers.
I don't think he's allowed to.
Now, what happens after 60 days? Yeah. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't think he's allowed to.
I mean, he's supposed to get
a war.
He's allowed. He is. It's a question of what happens in 60 days. Right. Yeah.
The 60 days he's allowed, but he's not allowed to.
I mean, the problem is
organize
that Congress
war.
Controls the funding.
Right.
So at some point, even if he wants to do it, he's going to be hamstrung by funding.
Right.
So anyway, we're just about out of time. So just.
Are you serious?
We are.
We hardly got started.
While we're on the topic of guns, so here's an interesting thing related to guns is that the federal government just reinstituted firing squads, I guess, for federal death sentence cases.
Right.
So do you think that that's something that will deter, violent crime, or do you think it's just something
Well, I
that
do
it's just
think
another way to kill people?
I do think that we should have a process where somebody does something terrible, like murder a family and rapes the kids and the wife and so forth, that there should be a penalty sufficient to match the event
But do you think
that they implemented.
Do you think that firing squads? We could do death by injection.
We
could do electric chair.
None of the pharmaceutical companies are prepared because they say it violates the
Eighth Amendment,
which says
cruel and unusual punishment.
And I think that's the biggest joke, because some guy wipes out a family and rapes them.
Do you think firing squads are good then? I mean, if you're gonna have capital punishment, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do it? Electric chair, firing squad.
Anyway, if they do a horrible enough thing, I don't know. Since I was a kid, we had the electric chair. Mm-hmm. There was never a problem with that. Eighth Amendment's cruel and unusual punishment is they watch a guy in an electric chair, mm-hmm. and it doesn't kill them right away. So he's sitting there 15 minutes longer for them to turn it on again to kill him. And that's for a guy who's raped a family and killed innocent kids. Right. We've gone from being serious about punishment to no punishment at all.
Well, there's a difference between punishment and cruel and unusual punishment. So I think
when I was a kid, if you see the old movies, the people that were punished to go to jail for serious crimes worked on a gang. They were punished.
Right.
Not they're put in schoolyards where they play basketball. Some of the boxers said during their jail time.
I would agree that that's not a proper punishment, but in terms of what's cruel and unusual, I think that's something that is a valid debate, and that's why we have the Eighth Amendment. But anyway, we are out of time. We can continue. We had some other things to talk about. We'll get to those in future discussions, I'm sure.
All right. Great to be with you. Have a wonderful week. I love you all. I wish you and all your loved ones a great day, every day of your life. Each day should be better than the day before. I love you. Have a great week. See you next Wednesday at 6:30. Bye.